Good day, everybody. It's been another year, and another 4th of July weekend is upon us for the people in the U.S., but more importantly, it means it's Anthrocon weekend. And it's going to be very interesting to see if the growth continues or if it tapers off or declines a little bit, similar to what happened with Furry Weekend Atlanta this year. We did a video on that a little earlier, back in May, late May or early June. I can't remember at this point, but it's in there if you go back. So it'll be very interesting to see. Very, very big 4th of July this weekend. Apparently it's the 250th year of our Independence Day. But it's also an important year, an important day, particularly since I'm recording this on July 1st. It was declared its own holiday within the city of Pittsburgh. A ceremony was held for the founding of Anthrocon Day. And here you can see a photo of the chairman, Samuel Kage, holding a placard indicating the creation of the day, along with the mayor and one of the head of the tourists boards, and also 4 fursuiters, including Anthrocon's black and yellow mascot. And the black and yellow colors correlate with the Pittsburgh's flag, city flag. And so it is in honor of celebration of 20 years of Anthrocon being in the city of Pittsburgh. Now, it's not Anthrocon's 20th year entirety. Anthrocon had 9 other years and was founded in 1997 in Albany, New York. But it had gone from place to place before finding their home in Pittsburgh on that day in 2006, right? So before 2006, it was, in various places in Albany, New York, and Philadelphia. And there was another place in Pennsylvania, more of a suburban area, that it also was held in. And all the while, the person at the helm really hasn't changed all that much. Unlike some certain conventions like Midwest Fur Fest, they don't really have a rotating chair. The chair is as he always was. He's been there for the past 30 years. And for people of my age group who have been around the furry fandom since the early 2000s, obviously as the money leaders go, people love him, people hate him, people have mixed feelings about him. It's a complicated story, for decisions he's made and things that he has decided to do. But it's clear that what he has done in his leadership tenure has absolutely worked. Anthrocon is a unique experience, and if you've never gone, I would recommend at least going once in your lifetime. It is a very rare convention that overlaps, where the city and the furries are kind of on the same page, to the point as obviously through this particular ceremony itself, you can tell how that relationship has turned out. The city loves the convention loves the city, and they have a thing called a block party, and they even have a parade that goes through some of the downtown areas, and they actually shut down some of the downtown area. So it is definitely a unique experience that I think you should at least visit once. I visited it a handful of times. I don't go on a yearly basis. It's not a tradition for me. And so it's the fact that it's a holiday week kind of, throws a little bit of a wrench into things. And I think that's one of the bad news things about this situation that somebody pulled up, somebody noted, is that, because they have now bequeathed July 1st as Anthrocon Day, it's probably going to be held the weekend around, July 1st, which is typically going to be shared with the holiday weekend that resides for the 4th of July. And for people who have prior engagements during those times, holidays spent with family and not in a furry sense, it may tie them away from ending up going to the convention as often as they can. But you're going to end up with particular days or particular years where, the 4th of July might be in the middle of the week, and then you're free to go on the weekend. But I'm going to guess that those particular ones are going to be very popular. And, so you might see this interesting ebb and flow of attendance based upon where the 4th of July falls, and whether the holiday is interacting with the weekend or not. But that's a future problem. Long and the short is like, it's very interesting to see, like, the thing that makes me feel just a sort of a weird sort of segue is that the person who's representing the furries here looks older than the politicians in the photo, which might me go, oof, turning into dust, are we? But to be fair, Kage's always joked about himself, being older than most furries, and like he was making it a bit when I was first attending Anthrocon back in the early 2010s. He was already kind of making the old man bit, and which we aren't getting any younger for sure. But that being said, if you want to feel even older, it can get even worse. Okay. Think for those of you who are not mathematically inclined, I'll spell it out for you. The United States of America, is celebrating its 250th anniversary this weekend. And Anthrocon is celebrating its 20th year in Pittsburgh. But it is not 20 years old. Anthrocon, which has always been led by Kage in one way or another, has existed since 1997, which is 29 years old. If you take 29 and you compare it to 250, that's over 10%. So for over 10% of the existence of the United States of America, according to the Independence Day shtick, Anthrocon's been around for over 10% of America's lifespan, I should say the United States' lifespan. So, yeah, now we feel old, don't we? So, I mean, existing that long is an accomplishment. It's an accomplishment to the board and their staff. And, like, you can, argue about the way they chose to go about things and how they chose to, make this convention. I think, like, there's obviously critique about, like, is it a vacation for us, or are we putting on a show for the city, or like in sort of like being used as sort of using our vacation in order to entertain the city, for less than not even be paid for it. Like, we're paying to be there. Things like that. Those are arguments that people will make, but it's at the same time, it's, it requires that sort of thing to have that experience that you can't really have anywhere else. And I think a lot of furries are willing to go out there. And as attendance rates have shown, they've made themselves number one again in the past few years. Like that environment and that sort of thing is definitely pined for by furries. Whereas, like, with Midwest, it feels like, we're definitely a separate thing, and that it is definitely a party convention that is, like, separate from the city and of Rosemont. Same with, like, Furry Week in Atlanta. It doesn't really feel like we're ingrained in the city. It's starting to improve from what I hear over the past few years. Like, as we've been, they've been expanding out into the city and gathering in amenities there. And that's why it's showing strong growth. But growth can only last forever, can't last forever. And he's definitely made, it'd be interesting if they made the 20,000. It's going to be hard because, as I said, Furry Week in Atlanta had shown shrinkage and growth. So Anthrocon probably is going to also have that challenge going for it in order to do so. And, yeah, I always don't worry about not getting to Anthrocon myself because I know that convention's going to be there and it's going to it'll be there for when I'm ready to head out. The people that my family that I hang out with during the 4th of July, they might not always be there. My parents are getting older, so in my mind, it's like Anthrocon will be there for when I'm ready and when things are not as hectic, and things calm down a bit. So I don't worry about it. But I hope you all have a good weekend there, and I hope to see that the growth and success of the convention continues forward. I'm the back of my head, and this is pure speculation on my point. I wonder if this year or next year, which would be the 30th anniversary of Anthrocon. So this year is the 20th year in Pittsburgh. Next year will be the 30th year of Anthrocon in general. I wonder if this year or next year Samuel Conway may take that opportunity to say that he's put in his tenure. I mean, 3 tenures. Not even just 1 tenure, 2 tenures, 3 tenures. He's put in his time. Because I think he's a wise guy. He's in many ways. I think that I've seen him building up successors and helping his successors along, and I think he's been working with them over the past few years, so that when he eventually does step out of the limelight, that there will be people that he can entrust will move the convention forward in the means that using the foundation that he has spent a long time creating and being responsible stewards of it. And I really do think that I don't have any fears of that changing anytime soon. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy your time there, and I hope you had a good Anthrocon day. I've done recording this on Anthrocon day, but it's also Canada Day, so I guess it's like Canada and Anthrocon Day are celebrated on the same day now. It's weird. It's interesting. Anyways, I'm going to get the hop out of here. Thank you guys very much for watching. Kick that like, subscribe button, kick a comment in the comment section. I will say one more thing. I will put in the description of this video, while I was going back and looking over certain things, I did remember that I wrote a review of Anthrocon in 2015, and I put a link to that. But I also, when I was searching for it, I also found 2 other reviews of 2 different Anthrocons. One from 2010 by someone named Tree Song, and one from all the way back in 2001, which is well before Anthrocon was ever in that. We have other articles about Anthrocon. Usually it's about decisions and controversies and things like that, back from the 2010s. But these are just the links provided are just going to be plain reviews of people on the ground. I think that's, a good articles for you to read if you're interested in that kind of thing, in sort of historical perspectives of Anthrocon during past times. I think that's a good opportunity to read those. And I will see you guys next time, and I'm going to get the hop out of here. Have a good one.